Hello everybody, I'm Billy Walker, and I have to say it's been a terrific experience. We started the journey in October 2017. We are today. Some of our ambitions in the journey have been achieved, but there is some way to go yet. In the round, it's my opinion that the flavour, the wood, the maturation in good quality wood delivers at least 70% of the flavour. So if you start on that basis, you're looking around to get and source the richest quality of wood that you can possibly find, and these are interesting times in terms of what is available now. You know, we're looking virtually all over the world now for oak casks of different genuses, virgin oak casks of course, different levels of toasting, different levels of charring. And we've been looking at places like Mongolia. We're looking at Japan for Mizunara casks. America has been a source of some wonderful Ozark Chinquapin casks. Recently we took in a load from the Andean Colombian area, and we're excited about what that'll deliver. So there's a lot going on in virgin casks, and then we move into things like wine casks, which offer a different kind of solution to the maturation process. These casks are uncharred, so you can be more confident that the delivery, A, will take longer, and B, there's almost no chance that these are going to overcook, so you can leave the spirit in the wood for a long time. And the interesting thing about wine casks is that they have never been exposed to high strength spirit, so a lot of the flavour components that are still in the wood, and so they are a great source of flavour contribution going forward. And of course, we have to be sourcing significant amounts of sherry casks. And originally our focus was on PX Oloroso, but we have been tempted and drifting into looking at Fino, Amontillado, Manzanilla, Paolo Cortado, which is an incredibly interesting one, and we could really talk all day about Paolo Cortado, but that's for another day. So the contribution of the wood is incredible. It is, in fact, it's an art in its own sense. There's an instinctive relationship with wood, and that comes with experience. But the science is also very interesting. I mean, you might wonder about where the flavours like toffee and vanilla come from. And the reality is that in the process of toasting, the hemicellulases in the oak are thermally decomposed, and you end up with sugars like fructose, maltose, arabinose, xylose, and then once you char, it caramelizes and you get the treacle notes, you get the toffee notes, and on top of that there's a whole host of other components that are being affected by these processes, so you end up with cinnamons and gingers. Yeah, listen, the whole process of the magic of wood is fantastic. Fully understanding it is probably a little bit beyond me in terms of all of the science, but your expectation starts with instinct, and then when it delivers, the science will explain why it's happened. Look, in terms of how we handle liquid in advance of barrelling, this is just a personal view. I'm not saying that chill filtration is in itself a bad thing. It's something that we would choose not to do on the basis that we don't really want to do anything to the spirit that will remove any of the intrinsic flavours that we have delivered from through the whole process. And how do we achieve that? Well, from experience, we know that if you bottle, and we bottle everything above 46%, but if you bottle above 46%, it's unlikely that even in an extreme climate, that extreme temperature conditions, that the higher molecular weight esters will come out of solution. And essentially what happens with clouding in a cold temperature and at a lower alcoholic strength is that as you drop the strength of the alcohol, there's a thing called the solution characteristics, and so that things that are in solution at 46 and above Once you go below 46, they start telling the liquid, look, we don't want to be in solution here anyway, we want to precipitate. And that's the danger of going below that strength, and that's why sometimes people feel the need to chill filter. So from our point of view, we will always be above 46%, but we also, interestingly, we use the kind of the French cognac technique of reduction. We don't add the water to the spirit, we add the spirit to the water. Now, I can speak endlessly about this, but essentially what you're doing is that you're shocking the first part of the spirit going in, and it will come out of solution at that point, and then as you add more of the whiskey, it will go back into solution. And I think basically what the science would say is that makes for a much more long-term, more stable liquid. First of all, though, I personally don't see any benefit in adding caramel. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with adding caramel. If people do it, it's likely they do it for a consistency of colour. As we've always said from the very start of this journey, we always said that it was always going to be the pursuit of perfection, not the pursuit of consistency. And that's the same with the colour of the liquid. If the colour of our whiskies vary, it's because they are varying naturally as a consequence of the styles of wood that they've been in, and we don't apologise for that. When we acquired the site, it's a big site. It can produce up to 4.2 million litres of alcohol. That was immediately eliminated from our thinking. Our plan going forward was that we were going to operate one shift, and that would be driven by the fact that we wanted to extend the fermentation time, which historically would have been around 52 to 56 hours. Our expectation was that we wanted to introduce long fermentations somewhere between 130 and 180, and depending on the pattern production, it could be even longer. You might ask why. What was the driving force, the thinking behind it? The first thing we wanted to do was to take the fermentation to full term, which meant that once we were taking the wash to the stills, it was a very benign, it was an inert wash, there was no activity, so it was a much easier and a much smoother wash distillation. And with good management in the still house, very little chance of there being bubble up where you catch some of the solids in the neck of the still, and that can cause some, if they burn on, it causes some less than attractive contribution to the flavour and the odour of the spirit. But in the process of the long fermentation, we have an expectation that there are secondary changes going on. Difficult to quantify what these are, but for sure the oxygen is introduced into the mix, so you're going to get some oxidation going on. Probably some interesting esterification going on. So we're getting the benefit of the first hit fermentation, and then there's a relaxed kind of chemistry mix going on over the next 50 to 80 hours, and that was attractive to us. Have we done the science on it? No, we haven't done the science on it. You would probably need some very interesting HPLC equipment to fully understand what actually is happening, but we're confident that that particular management move is a good move for the spirit. We think we're going to get more esterification, so these would be the things like fruity, kind of petally, roast style noses and flavours coming through. But look, it's not a shot in the darkness, but it's a kind of gut feeling, it's an instinct. This is the right thing to do. We're not driven by the demands of economy. We know the site is a big site. We're much more interested in the quality side of things. We're not driven by making a big quantity. We want to produce a quality, a size, a volume delivery on the side that is recognised for quality rather than quantity.